Welcome to our regular weekly chat on the virtual settee of YouTooSpain. Today we're going to be talking to our best mate and residency specialist, Chris from Upsticks, all about the Spanish NIE number. Everything you need to know and more will be answered, along with any questions you have about residency and anything else to do with moving to Spain. Chris will also be reporting back about the recent Place in the Sun exhibition, and also a really good caravanning exhibition too. And if you stick around to the end, we have a special announcement about this coming Monday's live show. And also we have some prizes just for you. Yes, you right there. In the meantime, gather round. It's time for our cosmic theme tune. Let's dance. There we go. Right, before I bring in Chris, 3 very quick pieces of important information. You can help YouTooSpain to keep providing you with this so helpful things that you learn today and every week by making a donation through Patreon, and that gets you access to lots of extra information and behind the scenes stuff. Yes, there's a link in the video description below. Excuse me, itchy nose. Number 2, check out our website, YouTooSpain.com. Thank you, Walter, for more amazing information, blog articles and resources just for you. Loads of links in there. Number 3, last but not least, if you click on any of the links in the video description below, you'll get great discounts on things you need and excellent service from our partners, and you'll be supporting YouTooSpain. Yes. For example, if you're buying a house or moving over here or sending your regular pension or investments over, you need the best currency exchange company with the best service, the best advice and the best exchange rate to maximize your spending power and safeguard yourself against the sort of massive and worrying currency fluctuations we're seeing right now. So use the Smart Currency Exchange link below to get your free account, free advisor and access to a 24-hour app as well, and a whole range of services that they do very well. Don't leave it till the last minute. Click on the link today. And as I say, you'll be supporting YouTooSpain too, at no extra expense to you. It's a win-win-win-win. So, without further ado, let's meet my wonderful guest. It's Chris from Upsticks. Hola, Chris.
Hola, good morning.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, thanks. All good to our end.
Good stuff. Let's see who we've got on the chat. John Bentley says good morning, and AK Mitchell. That's the Mitchells from France. Welcome back, Chris. They said I hope it all went well in the UK. And John Nelson, there he is. He's on this morning. Morning, John from Frigiliana. And good morning from Bev from Fuengirola. She's on a scouting trip. Lovely. Is she one of your clients? Bev. Oh, don't have a surname there.
Don't have a surname, no. I know John. I was speaking to John yesterday, John Bentley, so I say hi to John. Mr. Nelson, he's been with us when I was away. Actually, he was with Tom, and all good there. So
yeah, his seems to be going. His residency seems to be going through really, really fast.
He's with us again on Monday, and then then it's we're doing well. I wasn't even here for for one part of it, so. Yeah. That's good. It's good. I could trust the team. The team do a good job when I'm not about. So, in fact, sometimes I think I just get in the way.
Excellent. I really can't believe how fast this is all going through. It took us about 5 or 6 months to get both of us through the system. But yeah, some people it's really good. Actually, we had a question on from Mike Shaw on the social media. He was saying he's coming over on the NLV, and he remembers you saying Malaga and Alicante being very, very busy. What he wants to know is which is the best place for him to arrive at as his base to scout around in terms of getting the quickest NLV through. So which area is the one?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, in talking about availabilities of appointments at the moment, by far the worst, and the one we're having the biggest problem with is Alicante. Yesterday, we actually we hit a run on appointments. So because when you do hit a run, because they come up you like that with a mobile phone and going like this, and everybody's going quick, you got a list, and and we managed to really get a load in, and then you get kicked out the system, and that's a nightmare. Mercia seems to be very good at the moment, with plenty of appointments available. The same so you have places like Motril and Granada at the moment. You can get plenty of visa registration appointments, which we know as the Toma de Huella, which is taken as a fingerprint, but you can't get any EU ones. And Malaga is pretty good, but Malaga, what you'll find is that Malaga, the appointments are 2 or 3 months in advance. So at the moment, Benalmádena, for example, is already in December. Estepona is already in December. But then here in the main police station in Malaga, they'll publish a load for November, but then suddenly a load for October will drop in. So you'll have cancellations and stuff like that. So it just really, it's slightly more unpredictable. But as long as you know your timeline, then you can pretty much organise yourself for Malaga. Plus, obviously, Andalusia is fantastic and Malaga's fantastic, and I love it. So.
And is that, I think he means actually from before, actually getting your non-lucrative visa back through, because, from the embassy, they send it off. So in advance of that.
No, Malaga's terrible at the moment. Now, we had, funnily enough, I'd say the best place to go will probably be the Canaries at the moment, the way it's going. But our quickest ones seem to be coming through the Canaries. Alicante, Malaga, Murcia all seem to be pretty much on par. The fact that they're taking a long time to come through. Granada a bit quicker. The Canaries are coming through a bit quicker at the moment. I've had a few through from Tenerife, which seem to come flying in quite quickly. That said, we had all of our Malaga ones are now up to date up to the end of August, I think it was. So we're hitting appointments from the consulates at the beginning of September now. So there was this massive backlog in summer. It was a nightmare with Malaga, but they seem to have now caught up and they're getting them in.
So if you wanted to look along the bottom, the south coast there, maybe Motril would be a good place to actually start, because then you can look at Malaga, you can travel around from there, and also you can get both ways along the coast. You can get quickly all the way up to Alicante and quickly down to Fuengirola, so that might be a good place.
I'd say so. So the Costa Tropical, like the Almuñeca, Salobreña, Motril. That area is, a lot of people seem to be finding themselves there because of the availability of properties and stuff like that as well. And it's a lovely area to start with anyway.
Oh, it's a lovely bit of coast. And the sea and the beach is really, really good there, and it's good for diving as well.
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really nice. That would probably be, if you're not got a pin in the map, I'd say that's a great area to start. And you haven't got the backlogs of Alicante, Murcia, and Malaga, for example.
There we go. Let's also answer Paul Ray's comment. He was on the live chat before we went live, so he's disappeared from my screen. But I took a screen print. This is, I think he's coming in on the NLV, and what he's doing is, I think he wants to spend a year there, but not be a tax resident. So he's got this idea of arriving in Spain on the 1st of August. And leaving on the 31st of May the following year, so that he avoids being in Spain for 183 days in a tax year, which is a calendar year. So he's asking, can you sign on to the Padron stating that you're not a tax resident?
They don't ask you tax status when you sign on the Padron normally. Normally they don't ask you tax status. As we know, every single town hall has slightly different quirky requirements, but normally that's not something that they actually ask. In theory, what he's saying. So if he's not here 183 days, he would in a fiscal year, neither or. Then but he would be here more than 183 days consecutively, wouldn't he? So that's definitely something you'd have to check with a tax advisor. That's if you're not here in a fiscal year for 183 days, the first one or the second one, then in theory, I suppose you shouldn't be a tax resident. But that said, if you sign on the Padron, get a temporary residency card, I would definitely consult with an advisor just to make sure that even though you're not 183 days in any year, that consecutive period of 183 days doesn't make you liable anyway.
Yeah. Okay then. So let's get on to the topic of the day. So we keep saying to each other we should get back to basics because we're always using terminology and abbreviations, and we forget sometimes that a lot of watchers are new to the idea of moving to Spain, and they might be sitting there thinking, what does NIE mean? What's TIE? What's an NLV? So today we'll start with the NIE. So what is it? What do the letters stand for to start with?
Stands for Número de Identidad de Extranjero. Okay, so that's the number of identity of a foreigner. So it's a foreigner's identity number. Okay, yep. That's what the NIE stands for. Yeah, you're absolutely right that getting back to basics is something we need to do and explain. So the NIE number is probably one of the first things that people come across, isn't it, when they start to do their research into Spain and wondering when you need it, etc., etc. Now, this number, okay, is your tax number in Spain, and it's also your ID number on any sort of identification that you're going to get. So if you, for example, do complete a residency in any shape and form, and you're a foreigner, that NIE number will show on your residency card as your ID number. Anytime you register with a tax office or do any fiscal action, you'll need to prove you've got this number. It's either going to be with we'll go through the proof in a minute, with a non-residence proof or with residence proof, but that will show as the tax number. So basically, it's how Spain control everything you do, and it's what they use to register you here as right.
Brilliant. So that tells you what it's used for. And just looking through that, I got the official info from the Spanish Embassy page as well. So it's a completely unique and exclusive and personal number.
Completely unique and exclusive. You cannot have two, and we'll go into why that could be a problem now if you like. So it's completely unique and exclusive. When you initially, if you're a non-resident and you need an NIE number for any sort of action here in Spain, like buying it, you can buy a vehicle as a non-resident and leave it at your property if you want to come over and drive. That's not a problem. You can buy a property as a non-resident, but you would always need an NIE number. So that's the two most common things that people need an NIE number for. Okay, to get that NIE number, then you would have to apply for a NIE certificate. So if you're in Spain as part of your tourist, if you're a Brit, for example, and you're in Spain within your Schengen allowance, or you're an EU citizen and you're in Spain, as a tourist, then you can actually visit the Extranjería, the police station, and book an appointment and get an NIE there. What they will request is there's paperwork to be done, like an application form and a tax to pay. And most of the time, they also request for a reason that you're getting an NIE number. Okay, so you'd have to, they're not normally, they used to be quite, certainly here in Malaga, they've softened slightly. We would have to take things like pre-contracts and stuff to prove why they need an NIE number. They don't really go into that now, as long as there's a justified reason on the application form. Then you'll get a certificate which reflects your NIE number, and you can use that to do whatever operation you want to do. So that's the that's the basics. As a non-resident, you can get your NIE number, do whatever you need to do. It's a white certificate that you get.
Question from John Bentley there. He says, thanks for the chat yesterday, Chris. Do we need an NIE to make a reservation on a property and or Spanish bank account?
Yes, so normally to make a reservation on the property, it depends on the estate agent you're dealing with and the lawyers doing the conveyancing, but normally you could do that with your passport, because that's your national ID document. But when you come to complete anything, then you would definitely need an NIE, because the NIE is what's used for the completion of the signing of the deeds, the payment of the taxes, etc., etc. Normally, it's the same with bank accounts. Again, as we know, we've discussed here, banks vary, wildly branch to branch, and it's heavily depends, as you know, your experience, on the director of the bank. Most of the time, you can open a non-residence account using your passport number, albeit they may ask for further proof of your fiscal stability or where you get your money from. And then when you get your NIE number and you're a resident, so in this circumstance, the NIE number will figure on a residency card, then you can switch that account to a residence account.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did, John. And in fact, we're only just closing our joint bank account after being here. Actually, do you know what? It was exactly a year to the day when we set off on the ferry from Ireland today. So we're
Wow.
celebrating our first island leaving anniversary. We'll celebrate the arriving in Spain anniversary in a couple of days. There we go.
Wow. Can't believe it's been a year. You must be pleased though with how things have gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm completely established now. And there you go. Oh, and Bev says, at what point will I need to get the NIE for applying for a family reunification visa? My partner, soon to be husband, is Irish.
That's a good question. So that brings us on to the next thing of if you don't need an NIE number before you go for your residency. Okay, so in many circumstances, you don't need an NIE number and people can go directly for their residency. So whether that's a visa at the consulate or whether it's an EU residency platform here in Spain or as a family member under each or any way that you're going to be doing it, family reunification, EU family member, etc., etc. Now, in these circumstances where you've never had an NIE number and you're going for residency, if you make that residency application, then immigration will assign you an NIE number to continue with the application there and then. So if you previously had an NIE number, well, that goes on whatever application forms you use, and that's for every sort of residency. But if you've never had one, evidently you can't put one on, and that will be automatically assigned to you when they open your immigration file.
There's a few questions I have for Bev, actually. Are you, for family reunification, is usually applied for by the person who's already living in Spain?
Yes.
So is one of you in Spain? And if so, which one of you? If it's you and your partner wants to come over, then your partner can come over and just apply for residency because they're Irish. So it's going to...
Yeah, that's two different scenarios. So if you've got like a third country national with residency already in Spain and they're going to bring their family over, that's family reunification for a visa structure. And obviously there's many structures, but we're going to simplify it down to two. If you're an EU family member, then you can apply within Spain. So your family member first goes through the process of getting a residency card, which is the little green one. And then after that, then you'll need to apply to immigration for the right to live with that person.
There you go. Okay, hope that answers the question, Bev. If you've got any others, then fire away. John Bentley's going to be over in Malaga next week, so he's going to buy me a drink. Thank you very much, John. Yes, I'll see you there. And so next question, I'll come to David Perry's question in a moment. Yeah, so are there any things that you don't need the NIE for? We've mentioned a bank account. I think you need it for most things.
I mean, it's one of these. This is the problem that we come across quite a bit with people like getting rental contracts, for example. And I saw a fantastic video that Rochelle did on here, which we've actually shared with a few people. Is that sometimes when you're trying to, when you're in that period where you've got a foot in both countries, you'll find that sometimes when you're trying to rent over here, but you're still waiting for your NLV and stuff like that, that people will be quite insistent that you've got an NIE number, but you've applied for your NLV and you're waiting for it to come through. So there's scenarios like that. So it's all about getting the timing right. And I think it goes back to what we were saying when I was talking to people at a place in the sun. There's people 2, 3, 4 years, they're looking to come over, and it's working out that time period where you're going and maybe start contacting people really early, So normally there's some places like here in Malaga, I've seen it where people will give somebody a rental contract until they get here and then update it, etc. But a lot of the times they'll ask you for an NIE number for the contract.
We didn't need one for ours, but that was at the discretion of the estate agent and the landlord, who we showed them our bank account details and everything, and told them exactly what we were doing, and we were definitely moving over here, and everything was fine, and we were going to be self-employed. So, we persuaded them, and we also gave them a bit of a cash deposit with a receipt, which always helps. Bev says we will be coming together, and and do it within the 90 days. So you don't actually need a family reunification visa, but you'll need to prove. You said partner soon to be married. If you're married before you come over, then that will be easier.
Yeah.
And then you just come in as you come in together. Anything else you need to know?
Look, I mean, the longer, I don't know where Bev's going to, and all, like, as we know, all immigrations have different interpretations of the rules. So I was just listening actually to a video that was done for the College of Hestors regarding the new rules which are updated, and it was the guy from Almeria. He's very, very, very good, the boss of the Almeria there, and even he was saying, well, our interpretation of it is this. So we know that interpretations are different across the board. But I suppose the main thing is yeah, obviously, if you're not married, it's extremely hard to come as a family member of an EU person if you haven't got that registration document between you. And if you haven't been married for long, more than likely you're going to have to submit more proof of the longevity of the relationship. We've had some EU family members come back actually just recently, where the time it's taken for immigration over summer has been a very long time for them to actually look at the file, and they've actually asked us for proof that people were living here during that time, so bank accounts, statements, very similar to what they asked us within the withdrawal agreement, which was a bit shocking, but you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I think as I think one of the very first videos you said was keep copies of everything. So I think that's the best advice. Everything you do, you know, and albeit that sometimes Spain can be a cash-heavy society, we know that. When you're getting yourself established, it's always better to do things properly and get your invoices, your factures, and do everything above board.
Yeah, definitely. And especially if, you know, at some point in the future you want to buy a property, you'll need to show money going through the bank.
Yeah, definitely.
Bev says a wedding invite is in the post. So you're getting married in advance. Yeah, I do that in the UK because the marriage certificate is just the top #1 proof.
I'm thinking of having a little chapel here actually, because I have lots of these conversations.
Can you do that?
Can we get ordained? I don't know. No, I got married here with myself and Lara, and the paperwork for that was back in 2008, obviously, but the town hall work with 2 foreigners in the local registry was interesting. So
I bet it was, yeah. What should we go to? David Perry's question. So he's got a holiday home in Murcia that he owns, obtained NIEs and purchased, etc., with British passports. There we go. My wife now also has an Irish passport. Should she or can she inform the NIE people she is now an EU citizen?
You can do. I mean, if you've got no reason, so i.e. you're not taking any action, then there's probably no reason to inform them yet, because that's still, the British passport is still valid. You're still a non-resident, and you know, NIE numbers associated to the British passport. This normally comes up when people are getting residency using an Irish passport, but previously had an NIE with a British passport. Now, we've had this now right at the beginning, after the withdrawal agreement and after Brexit. This was a very new thing because the Estranjerias hadn't seen people coming in with different passports and suddenly becoming EU before, had they? No. So it was we had a lot of head scratching going on at the Foreigners Office, but we've never failed to do one. So there was, you know, famously in Marbella, I think the first one I did, the lady just looked at it and went, "So, can we do this?" He's like, "Yeah, just change the nationality on the screen." And I was like, "Phew, that's good." Then we had a request in Estepona for a letter from the consulate, the Irish consulate in Fingarola, who actually did a generic letter that said the bearer of his passport is that's its nationality, and they accepted it. So yeah, it can be done, it can be updated, but that relates quite nicely to today's subject with the NIE number, because what you'll do is you'll have an NIE number on your national police database registered to a British passport. When you go for residency as an EU citizen, you'll then be issued an EU residency card with the NIE number on it, which shows your nationality as, in this case, Irish. So yeah.
So it's going to be a different issue for people who have already gone over on, say, a non-lucrative visa, they've got the TIE card, which we'll come to in another week, exactly what that is. And then they get their Irish passport through that they've applied for before they set off, and it was going to take 2 years, so they decided to come on an NLV instead. But they need to change from TIE to an EU residency card, don't they? So that's a different.
They do, and it can be done. Again, it can be done. We've seen this done in Fingarola, but it's best to do this during the renewal period of the non-lucrative and not before. And there's an extra administrative thing you have to do before, which you can do. But if you're already legally here on an NLV and your Irish passport has arrived, and you're going to go into that renewal period, well, the requirements that you need to renew the NLV, obviously the money, the Padron, the healthcare, whichever way you've got it, is going to have to be used anyway for your EU residency. So we always we always bang on about different variations of residency, but we know that every single residency has a financial healthcare and somewhere to live requirement. So it'd be better if you waited until your NLV came to the renewal time and then processed the EU residency.
Good point. A question I should have asked earlier, really, but if you're thinking of moving to Spain, should you get an NIE number before you do anything else?
If you don't specifically need one, then there's no need to get one. So, I mean, the only thing I would say is that there is a period. So, I did a video actually on it where people are buying properties, for example, during the NLV process. Okay, and you need an NIE to get a property. They may have given power attorney to a lawyer or somebody who's doing the conveyancing on the property, and that may include getting an NIE number as well, because that's what you need to complete the property as a non-resident, but they're going for an NLV. So it's best to have that NIE in place before you do your appointment at the consulate for your NLV, and not simultaneously have those two actions happen, because we have seen in the past where someone's gone for an NIE number, has been awarded an NIE number while the NLV is going through, and then the NLV comes through with a different number.
Yeah.
Now, that can be unravelled. That's not a problem. In fact, we had one just before I left for the UK where somebody who had an NIE number, we've made the application using the NIE, everything was correct. They sent a visa back with a completely different number.
Yeah.
We did what they call an incidencia, which is an incident report on the platform. And they fixed it pretty quickly, to be honest, and said, don't worry, they can come with a visa, and when they go to register, it'll be with the original NIE. So it's not a problem, but it then takes a bit of unravelling if you do get in that situation.
John's asking if they wanted to do that, to obtain an NIE before the NLV, how long would it typically take? We'll talk about the process in a minute, but yeah, how long?
Depends on the appointment availability. So the process of getting the NIE is you can from the UK you can apply at the consulate for an NIE, and I know they take around 10 days to come through. Here at the Extranjería offices here in Spain, it really depends on the availability of the appointments. The good thing is that now you can apply for an NIE number. Certainly here in Malaga. In any one of the offices, whereas before it was you had to go to the location where you're going to be moving or whatever. It was quite specific. The availability of the appointments, and then how long it takes then to get the certificate stamped and signed by the boss, which is generally about a week. So I think they do the stamping all in one go here, because I as a representative, you can instruct somebody with a notarized authorization, which you did that, I think, didn't you? For me.
Yes, did.
You did that for me, didn't you? So you go to notary, you sign. Basically, it's a very small document called a poder, which allows someone to go on your behalf and get your NIE. And I do those at various stages during the week, and they always seem to be ready the following Tuesday. So even if you go on the Friday, the following Tuesday they're there. So I've got a feeling that they just take them up to the boss and he stamps them all at the same time.
Is it quick to get an appointment at the embassy to do that?
No, it's the same as trying to rigmarole of trying to get an NLV appointment. It's a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How long are they taking at the moment?
I haven't done one, to be honest with you, for ages. All I've been in LV, so I mean, if it's and it's the same sort of booking system. So, I mean, Manchester have updated their booking system now. There's a bit of a wobble on during September. It was a nightmare because they kept sending different automatic responses to people who were booking appointments while they were getting it going. But now it seems to be working fine. There was plenty of appointments available, and then the last 2 days the system's not worked. So. That's really how that's going there. Edinburgh, they seem to be okay at awarding appointments in 10 days to 2 weeks time. That's fine. London again is still coming out of the mess that was summer, and they've got no appointments available at the moment for October. But to be fair, I haven't actually requested a code for an NIE appointment, so you might find that they've got some spaces available for the NIE, but not for the NLB at the moment.
So it's a kind of slightly separate appointment system then.
Yeah, we had some non-lucrative visa clients who were given a student visa code to book an appointment, and they booked and they honoured the appointment, and they came up very regularly, whereas people who get the NLV codes have to be really attentive to the system because there's very few appointments.
I had a question. Do you have to be at the NIE appointment yourself at the embassy?
If you're using a consulate, yes, you do, unless you appoint someone legally to do it with a poder, like you did me, and that's the same for Spain as well. You could either do it yourself or you can appoint somebody to do it for you. Now, if you with picking up the certificate, you could appoint somebody and then go and pick it up yourself because it's your certificate, or the appointed person can pick it up for you.
Okay. A quick one that'd be handy. I should have asked this before as well. Is it ID? Can it prove that you live in Spain?
No.
There you go.
No, it's not ID. It's not ID. It's literally, it's just the certificate. It's just a reflection that you have the number. And what you'll find is, in theory, the non-residence NIE certificate is only valid for 90 days to do the operation in which you declared you need it for. Now, say, for example, you bought a house in 2016 and you got an NIE number and a certificate, and then you want to buy another house as a non-resident. In theory, you should actually go back to the police and ask for another certificate, albeit it's going to reflect the same number. You should have an updated certificate. Now, in practice, that doesn't always happen. So we've seen it with the DGT for some reason here in Malaga. They if someone's doing that's the traffic authority, sorry, I should say, talking about keeping it simple. Yeah. The traffic authority, various actions, we've given older NIE numbers and they haven't had a problem. But then I did have a problem recently, would you believe it, with our local spares place where we have the number plates made, where they saw validity only 3 months on the NIE. They said, we're not using this to make plates. So
it's mad, isn't it? Because an NIE number is kind of eternal. It doesn't, you've got it and that's it.
And some places put on it valid for 90 days and others don't. I saw one the other day, which is the first time I've seen it. Where was it from? Murcia. I think it was from Murcia. And it was quite old as well. They actually had at the bottom certificate what it was for, what they put on the specifications at the back. And I've never seen that before. So I was like, oh, look at that. So it does vary from place to place. But yeah.
That's handy for John Bentley to know. He said he didn't realise it only lasted 90 days. So it's the certificate, John, that only lasts. The NIE number itself is okay.
Yeah, and normally in terms of property purchase and stuff like that, we've never seen one that's been blocked from a notary yet, where the certificate, you might have to get a particularly finicky notary because they understand the number never changes.
So if you applied for one pre-NLV and then your certificate went over the 90 days and then you applied for your NLV, do you get a new certificate with that?
No, you'll get your visa, and then when your visa comes through, which actually brings us on to where else it can figure on the NIE number. When your visa comes through, and you move on to what we call here stage 2, which is registering your visa at the police station, then when you register it, you'll get a certificate called a Resguardo. And the Resguardo de Solicitud de Residencia, blah, blah, blah. So we call it a Resguardo. Now, this Resguardo is the proof that you've now registered your visa, and you can do anything with this Resguardo, this document, that you could do with a residency card. Okay, so that substitutes the NIE certificate, basically, in when you're doing it like that. Again, pre-Brexit, the administrative authorities were really not used to seeing a Resguardo. You'd probably get, you wouldn't get as many as we've got floating around now. Then suddenly we got into the withdrawal agreement exchanges, and now the abundance of NLVs, and every single person, when they do that action, gets a Resguardo. So it feels like they're getting more used to seeing these, because initially we had problems using them, but now they're getting used to it.
I had a question. If you're moving and getting a visa for that, when do you get your NIE number? Yeah, where would you find it?
In your visa. So if you haven't got it and you're applying for your visa and you've done your application without an NIE number, you will get it when you get your visa, and it figures around the right hand side, slightly in the middle. You'll see it will say NIE, and that's your NIE number.
And is that just a page that they put into your passport, or a stamp or something?
It's a sticker. So it's a passport. It's one page of your passport, and it's a complete sticker. So on there, you'll see you'll have the NLV visa, should say, stuck into one page of your passport. And you'll have your photo in there. You'll have the length of the visa, i.e. the 90 days you've got to get into Spain and register it. And it'll also have a code and your NIE number as well.
There you go. What documents do you need to apply for one at the, let's start with the embassy. Is it the same that you need to apply for at the police station in Spain? Yeah,
because it's a non-residence document. If you're only applying for the NIE certificate, then you don't have to prove anything like you would do if you're going to be residing in Spain. It's just a request for a number. I think so you've got, first of all, you've got a document called an EX15, a Modelo EX15. Now, this can be downloaded from the government's webpage, and this is the application form. Right? As we know, all these application forms look extremely similar, don't they? All 23 of them. I wish they'd do a generic one. It'd be a lot better. Just a tick box at the end, what you need it for. But anyway, so that's the EX15. Then you've got, it's very advisable now, the consulates take payment of the NIE fee there. I don't know what that is. I'd have to find out for you, to be honest.
It's just under €10 at the Dublin embassy, I checked.
Oh, is it €10, is it? I did have Jane, who works, my colleague, she printed me off a list of prices. So I had it to hand when I was talking to people. Now I don't know what I've done with it. So
it's fairly cheap anyway.
Yeah, so... but anyway, it's cheap, yeah. So consulates charge you there, and in Spain it's €9.84 at the moment, €9.84, and you have to prepay a tax using a tax form called a Modelo 790. The here we go. Got one here. There you go for one. There you go. I can't show it too quickly. It's got people's details on it. So it's an 790-012, and that you'll find is a tick box which says you have to put it in there on the government system, which then automatically brings up the price below. Print that, and there's 3 copies. There's one for the bank, there's one for you, and there's one for the police station. Extranjería when you apply. Okay. Now, what's the problems with paying this tax? It's best if you go with the tax prepaid. Some banks offer the option to pay these taxes in the cash machine for other operations, but you can never do that for an NIE because you don't have an NIE number to pay it. So you always have to go to the counter and pay these taxes using your passport number.
Okay. And do you pay by cash or by card or what?
It depends how you're doing it. So if you haven't got a bank account in Spain at all, which is the norm for somebody who's getting an NIE number, then you have to go to the counter, and normally they'll make you pay cash because they won't take a card payment for government tax. What you have to be extremely careful with when you're paying this tax is the day that you go to the bank. You can't just wander in and pay them willy-nilly. Most of these banks have, because it's not in their interest for them to help you, then they'll have like a window of every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 11 you can pay taxes, at the counter. If, for example, like us, when we pay our taxes, we have a deal with our bank where it's a specific time where we go because we load quite a few on them, so and it's very, very important that you take the proof of the payment of the tax with you, and the 2 copies that you're handed back from the bank. Now, one of the copies is for you, but there's one copy that says right at the bottom for administration, and that's what they're going to want to see at the NIE appointment.
Great stuff. Where do you get the forms from?
So the forms, the government website, I'll give you the links, actually gives you the form to the link to the EX 15, and then below that it's actually the link to the form for the 790. And that's this, you've obviously got to book an appointment online. Okay, so you can't just turn up, you've got to book an appointment for it. And one other thing to be aware of is you have to take a copy of your passport, evidently, and you need to take your original passport to the appointment. But if you're a third country national, you have to take a copy of every single page of passport. Okay, so Brits now have to take a copy of every single page because they do check that you haven't overstayed the 90 days in Spain when applying for an NIE number. If the representative is going on your behalf, then you will need to get the notarized poder, power of attorney, which is specifically for the NIE, and a verified copy of the passport from the notary as well. So basically what they do is, if it's a third country national, they take a copy of every single page and verify it, stamp it. And if it's like in your case, Irish passport, it's just the Irish passport, the photo page.
Good stuff. Phil Shaw, well, this is a question for another show, really. We're not retirement age yet, so how is it possible to work, and after how long till we can? So it's not possible to work on the non-lucrative visa, and after you've been on the non-lucrative visa for 5 years and become a full resident, then you can work. That's the simple answer, I think. Anything else, Chris?
Well, if you're Irish, then you can come over, or an EU passport holder or an EU family member, then you can work straight away.
Yeah. Or you could try and get a self-employment visa or an entrepreneur visa or a working visa.
Golden visa. It's quite a broad
Golden
question.
Visa. Yeah. There we go. Jason from Jason's Web says, good morning. Sorry he's missed the show. Really busy at work again. He'll watch later. There you go. Thanks for that, Jason.
I think we sent Jason a prize. I remember something about Jason. Did he get his prize? Was it in the post, or is it blocked up?
He did. He'd had one. Oh, he'd been promised one, then he didn't get it, and then he was promised another one. He eventually got the whole lot, I think. So.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah,
Don't leave anybody prizes.
No, absolutely not. We'll give away a prize in a bit, I think. I was going to say, you see on social media a lot of people talk about the NIE card. Well, that's not actually the NIE card. It's a card with the NIE number on it. What's that all about?
Yeah, so the tarjeta de identidad de extranjero, the TIE, is what you get as a third country national for your residency, basically. So that has the NIE number on it, but it's not an NIE card. The NIE card doesn't exist, basically. Okay, so you have an NIE certificate, but you I'll get my NIE card out. Should I? No, I don't. So that's a TIE, okay, which is the tarjeta de identidad de extranjero, and that has, as you can see here, the NIE number at the bottom of it. So that you'll also see it's got it on the code at the back as well. So that is what you get if you come in on a visa. And any visa that you get, you'll get one of these. If you're a third country national you're a Brit within the withdrawal agreement, you'll get one of these cards. If you're an EU family member, you'll get one of these cards. The difference being that here on the back, it actually says observations, and it tells you under which circumstance you have got this card.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's like, for example, mine says on it permanent because I've been here many years, and on the back it says that this was omitted within the withdrawal agreement, article 18.4. So yeah, if it's an NLV, it will say that on it.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Oh, if you've got an NIE from a long time ago and not used it for years, or maybe you moved out of Spain, do you have to reapply to get a new one if you're buying a property or moving here?
You may have to, because if you don't have the proof of it. So yeah, definitely. If you're non-resident, you had one a long time ago. So we've done this a couple of times where people actually didn't even know their number. So what we've had to do is I've gone in with if in these circumstances, certainly for our clients or people contractors to do it, I prefer that they give me the poder, the power of attorney, to go in and speak to the police. The reason being is still today, though yesterday Tom, who does our appointments, was informing me that now he can get in with people. It makes it a lot easier. This requires an explanation when you're there sat at the desk. So you have to go in with all the documents that we've previously mentioned prepared, but tell them that this person previously had an NIE number, because that's going to be on the system. If they've got an old passport that it was related to, if you've got a copy of that, even better. So any sort of proof that you've got, or any clues to give the police how they can pull that information out of the computer, really helps. So it's important that if you've had a number and you don't know what it is, but you need it again and you need a new certificate, that the current documents you use to apply are up to date, i.e., your current passport, etc. But if you've got any sort of information which can lead the police to how they can find like a previous address, previous passport, the old number, so they can drag it out of the system, that helps as well.
Right. Jason said his prize was tickets to a place in the sun, but he didn't get them.
Oh, they did not? They should have been sent from a place in the sun themselves. They sent them via email.
Yeah. Did you give your email to me to pass on to Chris, or did you give your email to Chris's address? Yeah.
Well, don't worry. When we do another one, you'll be first on the list.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Jason. And Barry from Unitech. Hello, Barry. He says, are there any restrictions to working self-employed on an Irish passport?
No, you can have an Irish passport, get your residency, and get and work. We won't mention about Barry and golf, because I think that got you into a lot of trouble, didn't it? Once with one of your videos, so you're not allowed to say that. Yeah. I will say that today, in about 20 minutes, I'll be going off and using the prize, but I'm not allowed to say what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Or what you gave me, my gift there. But yeah, so seriously, the only way this comes in, there's sometimes with the NIE, Irish passports and self-employment, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation regarding when you get your NIE, when you declare yourself self-employed, and when you use it to get your residency.
Mm-hmm.
So as a non-resident, you can get an NIE number, but sometimes if you're going to use that NIE number to register as self-employed, because to register self-employed you don't have to have a residency card, just an NIE number. You go to the police, and certainly here in Malaga we've had it where they go, oh, we need an NIE number because they're going to register as self-employed, and they're going to use the proof of registering self-employed to get the residency, and they go, no, you've got to go straight for residency, which means proving funds, income, even though you're not self-employed, private healthcare, even though you're not going to need it because you're going to be registering self-employed, and they just won't give you the NIE number. So a lot of the time people get their NIE number as non-residents, maybe informing the officers they're going to be buying a property or a vehicle. Then they use that NIE certificate to register as self-employed, and they use the subsequent self-employment registration to then go for the residency.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Oh, Jason had an extra bit to say. He was saying after 1 year you can get a job. You said last time. Well, that's that involves swapping over to a different kind of visa, like I say, self-employment, entrepreneur, working visa, which is easier to get after you've been on the NLV for a year than it is if you're just applying for one of those from outside. At least the working visa is. You've got more chance of getting a job that way because there are fewer limits on what kind of job you can get.
And they've changed that. They've actually changed that as well. As I was listening to the update at the law on 31st, but it was processed on 30th of July and then brought into force on the 16th of August, and which is the worst time in the world ever to get anybody to interpret anything from any foreign office. And it's only just now that we're seeing sort of the informative videos from the different provinces coming out regarding what the updates have been for people who want to switch to a different platform.
Great stuff. Anthony or Kerry says, Chris, did you get to meet any of the stars of Place in the Sun? We all want to know. Will you be appearing on the next series?
They won't. No, they're only looking for people now. I'll be honest with you. I was very touch wood. It went extremely well, and I didn't spend a lot of time away from the stand. We were back to back, and we gave out an awful lot of your flyers. So if anybody who met me at a Place in the Sun is still waiting for an email from us, then I must apologise because we're just going through all the contacts and the information that we took from people now. A lot of people come in over in 2023, 2024, which was great. I didn't meet any of the stars to get photos with, unfortunately. I did stand behind the stage and see when they were doing a big talk. So I don't think I'm going to be on the new series. With the Caravans in the Suns guys, some of their representatives are actually on Channel 5's Bargain Loving Brits in the Sun. So Bambi and Jojo, so actually I met them. That was nice. And with Bambi, people get saying, can you have a photo with Bambi? And going, are you on TV or something? She went, yes. I went, oh, cool. I didn't know. I don't watch it, I didn't know. But yeah, so that was a great laugh. But no, I didn't actually get away from the stand that much, which is wonderful, really.
We're going to try and get the caravanning people on maybe next week's show if we can, or one in the future.
Yeah, well, we had, it was really good because we had, like, you know, it was really apart from evidently, you know, when you go to an exhibition, what you're looking at is generating business for the following years, aren't you? It's not just a lot of the people that we initially spoke to or we speak to want to come straight away, but, you know, it's about building up relationships with people for the next 2, 3, 4 years' time. And the other part of it was understanding, from my point of view, after living in Spain for 23 years, what people are thinking of before they come, you know, and their needs. So everybody that we've spoken to now pretty much has a good idea, and they've done their own research, you know, and got to the point where they want to engage with us. But we really, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this video, isn't it, that, you know, there's so many people who are right at the start of the process and even putting in place their financial structures and not understanding how that's going to relate to an NRV, for example. You know, so the information I got from people also was invaluable for my and our understanding, you know, moving forward. And the Caravans in the Sun people, which brings me on to them, they were next door in a stand next to us, and we had our stand sort of adjacent and slightly open. They're old school exhibition people, you know, they've been doing it for 15 years. They know the game, and I have to say that they really helped me. So you're going to be nervous, aren't you? It's the first time you've done something, and it's, you know, I'm putting up the stand. It's the first time I've seen the brand that big, and I was very proud to see it like that. But I'm, you know, like a fish out of water, you know, for the first day, and they really did guide me in the right direction. So I have to thank them for that. That's
very kind. Barry says they were filming bargain-loving Brits in the Sun when we were at a charity show for Hugo's Farm at the Rio Park Hotel in Benidorm last August. There you go. So we already know them. Yeah, let's get them on the show.
Yeah, we'll get them on the show, because the following weekend I did their showground weekend, which was great. Apart from I realised very early that the stand that we'd bought wasn't outdoor compatible. It blew away 3 times. So.
Ouch.
I gave up in the end. I gave up. I'm a trier, but I gave up. But yeah, and James, who works with them, he normally fields the inquiries and evidently the residency questions as well. So we've been sort of working together on content to sort of help him and to make sure that And it's very, very early content. As we say, we all ramble on about DGT and IE, but so much basic stuff we're going back to help people.
Talking about the basic stuff, I wrote down earlier, we didn't say that the word Modelo just means form. There's another word that we use a lot, and the EX is just the 2 letters that you get on the start of all of the forms. And I was going to tell everybody, if you want to get a hold of the forms, I asked the question, where can you get them from? On our website, on the resources page, you can click on that, and then there's a box which says all of the government forms from the government website, and you just scan down and it tells you what each of the forms are, and you can click on it and download them on there. So that's easy.
Okay, look, I mean, there's probably a whole video there explaining what a modelo is. You know, it's not a catwalk model. It's a it's a form, but that's what it sounds like, though, doesn't it? You know, so
yeah. Unfortunately, you can't get catalogue models on our website. Sorry about that.
We'll work on it.
Yeah. You had some visa and residency questions from people who asked at the place in the Sun.
Oh yes, I did.
That you gave me a list of. And yeah, so we'll go through those very quickly. So have you got to get off at 11ish?
Yeah, I've got to, unfortunately, so we're back to the winter golf season and the kids, so I've got to run off, grab them, and I could probably get a bit longer if I stayed at home and did the video, actually, but then I always forget to take the things with me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to take one home, leave it at home in case I don't have enough time.
It's a good idea. You need a spare. All right, we'll run through these questions. Well, you've got like half a minute each for these questions then. How much do you need for renewal of a visa?
So the renewals are, as we know, for non-lucrative visa, after 12 months you have to renew, and you have to renew with double the amount of money that you needed for the first year. As we know, if, for example, it's one applicant, it's 4 times EPREM. I know you've got an article on EPREM, so you can put it down at the bottom and explain what that is. If it's for a couple, it's 4 plus 1, so it's 5 times EPREM because you've got one beneficiary. But because you're renewing for 2 years, you need to prove double, but there is a but. That can be proven in various ways. So you've got passive income, savings, or a combination of both. Don't forget that passive income, like pensions and rental income and stuff, counts as double because you get it on a monthly basis, an annual basis, so that continues. Okay, so recently we've just done one with no savings, and the person had the minimum monthly allowance, and that was fine. Okay, if you're working on a basis of only savings, which goes back to the financial structure we were talking about, which is probably a video in itself, then you're going to need double the total amount of the first year, plus if EPREM's gone up, that as well.
We need a full video all about that, so we'll go into that. So do I have to buy or rent a property before we can apply for non-lucrative visa?
No, you don't. You don't have to buy or rent, or you can use a correspondence address. The only thing is, we do say if you use a correspondence address, it's best if it's in the province where you're going to be living. And also, if you go to the consulate and it is a correspondence address, just let them know it's a correspondence address. We recently had it wasn't one of our clients, but somebody who we work very closely with. Well, their clients had gone using an office address, which is fine, but told them it was a mate's address, and then the consulate asked for the mate's Padron. There's no problem, but you would probably say, look, this is a correspondence address, because we haven't got a place yet.
There you go. Okay, so can you get a visa if you've got a criminal record?
No. If you say you're coming from the UK and you're on a non-lucrative and you want to get a non-lucrative visa, your ACRO criminal records advance check should say no trace or no live trace.
There you go.
So in theory, if you've had a criminal record that doesn't show, it says no live trace, then yes, but if the certificate has to say no trace or no live trace.
And I've heard somebody say before that if you've got something on your criminal record from before and it's shown up on the records, because they still keep it on the records even though it's not live in the 5 years, you'll still have a chance, as long as if it was something violent involved in the record, then there's a chance you'll get refused even if it's more than 5 years old.
Oh yeah, no. If it figures on the certificate, then forget it. We've had to take a very hard stance on that. There was a few last year. You'll see where people seem to get through with bits and bobs on a criminal record check, but certainly now I know that Manchester and London are taking a very hard stance, and it has to say no trace or no live trace. That's it. So
there you go.
that's. You can get stuff stepped down though if it figures on your ACRO and you speak to ACRO. There's a level of things which you'll never get stepped down. There's a level of things that will.
Oh, that's good to know. So, how long do your documents last for?
90 days. So your ACRO, your medical certificate lasts for 90 days. Should say validity, so they must be dated within 90 days at the time of your appointment.
And how long is the process start to finish? Presumably that's the visa, non-lucrative visa.
These are the cracking question because it depends, isn't it? Your great video, it depends. Look, and I got asked this a lot, and it relates back to when is the best time to apply. And certainly our experience this summer has been horrific with the immigration officers. With some visas taking 3 months to come through, some even longer. Whereas the spring period of this year was very good, even when we came out of the strikes. It really did pick up really well. And now we're out of the summer, we seem to be clearing the backlog, and it seems to be working very well now. So I'd say that there's like the red flag areas, which would probably be July and August, where it's difficult to, if you do put an application in. So you've got around a month to 6 weeks lead time for the paperwork. But if you're putting it in the summer months, you've got to be aware that the visa could take a lot longer to come out. Whereas if you're applying in spring and autumn, then they seem to work very well in spring and autumn. Again, winter, we've got Christmas right in the middle, and you'll pretty much bet that it'll take a little bit longer if you're applying over Christmas.
There we go. That's all of those questions. So before I give you the special announcement that I have to tell you about Monday's show, which is a big thing, let's give out some prizes. So
I've got some. Still got some of our notebooks here. Should we give these out?
Oh, very nice. Oh, they are good.
Yeah.
So who do we have that we haven't given a prize to before? There's a Bev. Don't know. We don't know your surname, Bev. Could you send us your details with that? And I can't find anybody else. David Perry. Are you still on the line there, David Perry?
I can't see the chat. So.
Okay. Well, let's call. So let me write those names down. David Perry and Bev. And if you two can send your details to either info@YouTooSpain.com or to Chris,
support at upsticks.es.
Support. There we go. And John Bentley says, I haven't forgotten your drink. Neither have I, John. Okay. So we'd better let you go. It's gone 11 o'clock. You've got to get to the Gulf. Get those children to the Gulf. That's important.
Yeah. Get them out in the air. Get them out. I'll be there with my laptop. We're on the back of Appets and 2 weekends working. I've still got a bit of catching up to do, but it's a nice environment to be working, so I can't complain.
Lovely. And we'll talk about another back to basics thing. I think we'll talk about why do you need a visa to move to Spain. We'll go to that one next week.
That'd be fantastic. I'll have a word with the Caravans in the Sun guys, see if we can get somebody on the show as well. It'd be great to talk to them as well. And yes, back to basics. I think it's the way forward for a little while.
Perfect. All right then. So I'll give the announcement, but we'll say goodbye to you for now, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much again.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. You're welcome. Bye for now. There we go. So, like I said, next week's subject, why do you need a visa to move to Spain? And we're very pleased to have Chris back on 2 weeks in a row because he missed a couple of weeks. So there we go. We did a swap there. And of course, we'll be answering all of your questions about residency once again on that one. So thank you, Andy Fry, for saying another excellent show. You guys are doing a great job. Good public service. I can't imagine anywhere else that has such a comprehensive, up-to-date info is available on the subject. You're very welcome. So the special announcement I told you about this coming Monday, the 10th of October, I have an expert guest on who's going to tell us all how the energy crisis can be solved, completely solved. No exaggeration. He is an absolute expert and has been asked by government for lots of information on that. So very important. What I'm going to do is also I'm moving the show to the evening at 7 o'clock UK time. That's 8 o'clock in Spain. That's to give you an opportunity. Those people who work during the day, you all need to see this as well. So I thought we'll do the live show in the evening. So tune in to that. And don't forget to subscribe also if you haven't already, and click all on the click the notifications bell and click it onto all. And you'll be the first to know what's coming up every week, including our midweek videos on Wednesday evening, one of which is just going through the 10,000 mark after only a few weeks this morning. It was a bit of a clickbait Brexit title, and it's attracted loads of trolls. So if you feel like a laugh, go into the comments on that one. And that was my alter ego, Tommy, who was being tough on that one. And so generally speaking, on Wednesday evenings, you'll see an information video, which is packed with excellent information. Sometimes I do a clickbait one for your entertainment and for the entertainment of the trolls. Sometimes you get an expert live guest on that one. The adventure never ends. So if I don't see you then, thank you everybody on the live chat. You've been excellent today. Plenty of really good questions. I'll see you all next week at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or the Canary Islands apparently, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe already. I can't wait. And my lovely wife Liz once again says hello. You can join her for free virtual yoga and meditation on her YouTube channel, YouTube Yoga and Aromatherapy. And the link is below with all of the other ones. Do check out those links. There's lots for you on there. And don't forget to sort your money out with Smart Currency Exchange. So that's all for this week. Somebody pass around the tapas. I've got the munchies. Peace and love. Oh, and one more little cosmic dance. Where's the music? Get ready. Here we go.